no spellbinder with a update on the Islam threat of control of the world. It may be just a Mason's reenactment of control of the world. This is so because an Iranian student came forward and made an article for Henry Makow and told the secret of what's going on worldwide between Israel actually and the Islams. They're all working together under Freemasons to be enemies of each other and to be enemies of the world. This is so true. It's just frightening. They're all controlled by Satanists, Iran included. October 4th, 2010. The student says, I live in Iran and have heard of Ahmadinejad discussing the need for the world order global governments. I've also heard that his handler, Ayatollah Misbah Yazda, is well connected to British Secret Service. Quite frankly, these people are leading the country to total financial meltdown and setting the stage for acquisition of state by world financial elite. The public are told to prepare for shortages and street riots. It's from a young Iranian. From the beginning of Islamic revolution, the key positions such as the judiciary were handed over to the mullahs, who had no experience in running the country. Commanders of the military, engineers, and doctors who opposed the regime were hanged because they were enemies of Allah. The Islamic Revolution of Iran had nothing to do with Islam, just like any other revolution of recent history. It was basically aimed at handing power over to a few individuals. In case of Iran's 1979 revolution, the state was handed over to the Khomeini cult, a Muslim brotherhood group which has direct links to the foreign intelligence agencies. One must not be so naive as to believe Iran is in opposition against the New World Order. We have TV shows made every year and fed to the public on the anniversary of the Islamic Revolution, showing the public to be for that revolution. Freemasons ran the show. Freemasons, see? It's very difficult for me to believe the notion that the British who fought the massacre so vigorously would suddenly give up Iran's oil and let the mullahs take over the country's oil resources. In other words, none of this has been let go. It's still owned by the British. The true story is that the British instigated the Islamic Revolution of Khomeini. The objective was to control Iran's energy by weakening it. In other words, reduce the Iranians to hunger, and to destroy Iran's religious and family-oriented society. Many of our grand ayatollahs are also Freemasons. Freemasons, again, is mentioned. Members of the Muslim Brotherhood, I have reliable sources that tell me that they have trips to London every few months to get their orders. One of the powerful figures of the cult regime of Iran was Ayatollah Misbah Yazda. He is the leader of a very powerful cult called the Haqqani School. Members include Muhammad Abou-Majid, a top student of Mashallah, commanders of the Revolutionary Guards, the Bishha militia, lawyers, judges, and heads of major newsprints. We have evidence that the same group was behind last year's election fraud and also the harsh crisis management which came after the elections that resulted to many deaths, arrests, and many newspaper outlets being shut down. The leadership, Ahmadinejad, internal objective is to hand over power to members of the cult. Multi-billion-dollar enterprises which were state-owned are now owned by the IRGC, therefore the Revolutionary Guard, Also, infrastructural projects, oil fields, housing projects, and many others are awarded the IRGC. Any opposition to such green movement or worker strike is handled by the RIGC Secret Service and the Basya militia. For outsiders, Ahmadinejad might pose as a brave leader who dares deny the Holocaust or challenge the events of 9/11. He also enjoys the kind of security that Obama does in New York City, and he has the chance to sit down and talk with all major media outlets in the United States. Imagine that. Not arrested for being a criminal of the world and a threat, but sits down and kindly talks because the UN says it's okay. Meanwhile, it's noteworthy that after returning from the UN General Assembly, Ahmadinejad was due to address the students of Tehran University, but the plan was cancelled unexpectedly. The reason is that the man who enjoys publicity in the U.S. not has the guts to face the Iranian students who will hang him up and kill him. He simply fears that his presence might spark unrest in the university and destroy the achievements that he gained from the trip to the USA. On the same day, Ayatollah Khomeini was due to visit the city of Qom, but his trip too was cancelled due to the unpopularity among top religious figures and their unwillingness to attend his welcoming ceremony. Meanwhile, I'm not sure if Ayatollah Khomeini is a member of the cult, but I do know that his chief of staff is a member thereof, or the flow of information to the leaders is controlled by the IRGC Secret Service. Subsequently, his decisions and speeches are against the opposition. Khomeini supports developments in science and technologies that guarantee the survival of the cult regime. Yes, their cult regime, which is what? Freemasons. Meanwhile, he doesn't favor modernization of the country's economy, and he is truly opposed to raising people's living standards. He opposes it. He doesn't want you to be good people over there in Iran. He wants you to be slaves. To me, he is in line with the British method of controlling the masses through hardship, slavery. Inside Iran, Iranian people are currently experiencing difficult times, and it's sad news that they are told by the government the officials prepare for even worse. They experience high inflation rate and a high unemployment. Oil revenues have fallen, and the latest round of sanctions on banking and energy sectors have made life very difficult for business. For example, in order to meet the local demand for fuel, refineries are told to drastically reduce their industrial chemical production and to refine fuel instead. Businesses are limited to telegraphic transactions, no computers, for foreign trade. Therefore, foreign currency is in high demand, resulting in high prices on good imports, making matters even worse. The incompetence of the inexperienced government of Ahmadinejad is planning to overhaul the economy by increasing taxes on energy. Iran's inefficient economy has caused serious social problems for the families, and especially the younger generation. To name a few of our social problems, we have the world's highest drug addiction based on the UN report, high divorce and low marital status, promiscuity of younger generations in schools and universities, rise in abortion and AIDS, increase of crime rate, and increased belief in magic and Satanism. I believe that the main source of these problems is that society, and especially young generations, no longer have faith in the values such as family, religion, and hard work. The cause is that the cult, Freemasons, have taken away our basic rights and is feeding us a version of Islam, the anti-Islam, that is, Satanism, has led to the destruction of religion and society. I have no doubt that Satanists are among the religious teachers of Qom, since I have heard many true stories of child abuse. Our mullah, social engineers, have made the public so confused that they no longer know that it is right or wrong, and therefore are ready to accept the New World Order takeover at any time. Personal appeal. I started reading alternative news sites such as Rinse.com and HenryMakow.com for years ago, and when I was about 18 years old. I lived in Europe when the attack of 9/11 happened and could sense the implications it had on Muslims in Europe and also the implication it had on my Western friends, especially on the ones who were from America. I remember that although they knew I were Iranian and had feelings that somehow I was supporting the attacks, although I was completely against the events and had condemned the attacks, I could sense the huge gap that had opened between the Muslims and Christians. I knew that the misunderstanding was because of my friends' lack of knowledge and understanding of the world events, and especially the dynamics of the Middle East. Furthermore, I remember watching the Shock and Awe campaign and War on Terror in general with my father in Iran. The two events of 9/11 and the War on Terror prompted me to investigate, as I sensed there was something going on behind the scenes. Meanwhile, I've been following the world events with much enthusiasm. I know the truth with the help of alternative news sites, and the truth has set me free. I'm only 22 years old, and asked myself why I get caught in this mess. My only way out is to escape another country and continue my higher education. Honestly, due to the difficult times I am experiencing here in my home country, I've decided to look up the readers of these sites and help on personal matters. I have even found a proper destination with high living standards and low tuition fees. That place is Hong Kong, a city that is a blend of Eastern and Western cultures, with cheaper universities compared to developed countries thanks to the government subsidies. Since I've lived in the middle-class family, I cannot manage the cost of studying in Hong Kong. So I thought of asking help from you, the people, blah, 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 and there he goes, asking Henry to ask you for help. Now, I don't disagree with him. I don't think all Iranians are so-called going to kill the Americans, British, or any other European countries. No, but there is this organization called the Masons, be it the High Order of the Masons of Europe, or the Masons of Egyptian, or the Masons of America. But these Masons at high orders, 33 and above, do have their agendas to take over the world and rule it. And most of them control corporations. They are the umbrella corporation, as I call them. They rule many corporations under their umbrella. And they're gonna screw the entire world out of everything by false wars, false environmental problems, false anything they can come up with to get you to come to their side and give up your rights, give up your freedoms, and give up your lives. This is what I see. And I'm now seeing it by reading articles like this and others, that when I made my last video, which was today also, well, yesterday now, I'm showing the 5th, it was because I was directly naming the Islamic, I guess the radicals, that they are controlled by the very forces of these Freemason cults. And what's happening to America today is under that. And we're all being hoodwinked, either being Christian, Catholic, Muslim, Hindu, Buddha. I mean, what religions do I must go through? Quran? I mean, let's go through it all. I mean, Jewish religion? I mean, what? We're all being controlled by these religions because the people in the highest ups of these religions are all together, laughing and having a party together. And they're treating us as if we're stupid. And not all of us are stupid. As you can see, I'm speaking out against them, which makes me #1 enemy to them, as well as others that speak up against them. Well, until next time, this is Spellbinder, speaking the truth of it all, as usual, seeing through the veils and disillusions and the propaganda. Good day.